So, most of us have heard about the pillars of creation, and we have this super iconic image from Hubble Space Telescope displaying three pillars on M16, the Eagle Nebula. But what are the pillars anyway? Do we really know? Stay with me, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create your own pillars and also hopefully explain everything we need to know about these things, what they are, what's going on inside of them, and of course why they're called the pillars of creation. So in order to understand these pillars, we first have to understand that space isn't really empty. There are areas in space consisting of dust and gas clouds, and the dust is basically just like rocks and organic material, but these rocks, they're no bigger than a grain of sand. In most cases, they're even smaller than a grain of sand. But the point is, space is not empty. It consists of something, and this something is the one that is being responsible for the pillars. So here's a fun fact about gravity. Matter always attracts each other. That is gravity. That is what we call gravity. So if you have something that has a mass, like a small piece of sand, a grain of sand, or even something smaller, it's still going to be attracted to another piece of grain. So with time, gravity will start lumping these things together. And we're talking about millions of years now. We're not talking about like 1,000 or 100 years or something. This is millions of years. So you're having a very huge area, like billions and billions of miles, and like with dust and gas. And these things slowly start to attract each other. And what happens? It's just pure physics. When you compress something, you create heat. So in millions of years, this tons and tons and tons of gas and dust is being attracted to each other, and everything is being contracted towards the center. And this center is being so massively pressured that eventually, with the heat generated, the pressure inside of that core and the temperatures inside of that core is so high that the hydrogen molecules within start to merge together. And that is called fusion. And with fusion, that small merging that occurs actually creates energy that blows outwards. So think that you have like billions and billions and billions of molecules that start merging, and that tiny piece of energy, or actually quite a big release of energy times billions, you have a massive release of energy, and that is a sudden shockwave like blowing outwards, and kind of creates the opposite effect of the gravity that pushes inwards. You have this shock wave that starts pushing outwards, and the fusion continues inside of the core, creating a constant blow or constant outwards energy. And eventually you will actually have an equilibrium of the gas being pulled in and the force being pulled out, and you will have a spherical mass of gas and dust, mostly hydrogen, because hydrogen is the most common element out there in the universe. And that hydrogen is being fused into helium, and that's what's happening inside the core. That is exactly what our sun is doing, and with that you have a newborn star. But before we continue here, let's just have a look at that initial shock wave, because that one is very much responsible for the creation of these so-called pillars. Fun fact about these pillars, they are actually everywhere. I mean, you can find them on a lot of places out in the universe, and with just this small telescope that I have, the Red Cat 51, I can actually photograph a bunch of them. But let's now have a look at how they are created. I have conducted a very small experiment. It's a very simple and small one, and it's not super realistic, but it just shows the concept of how they are created, how this shockwave within this place of dust and gas can actually create them. The mathematics and the physics is of course way more advanced than this experiment, but still we can still see some pillars. But for that we're gonna need to go to the kitchen. So join me to the kitchen and let's do the experiment. Okay, so now here we are in the kitchen, and for this experiment you're going to need a plate, some water, dishing soap, and a toothpick. We could also put in some grains of salt or pepper, but for this sake we're going to skip that, and I'll show you how to create some pillars and how pillars are created in mathematical simulations. So now I have a plate with water inside of it, and that is actually representing space. And that is the space that this place of dust and gas can actually expand into. So the olive oil, the patch of olive oil, or not olive in this case, but anyways, that is representing the area where you have a collection of gas and dust molecules that are consisting of these ones here. And we're going to simulate an outwards pressure in the center here to visualize what's happening when a shock wave is created at the center, what's happening with this entire area. It's going to expand outwards, and we will be able to see some of the simulated pillars being created at the edge of this area here. So let's just take our toothpick and put some soap in it, just like so. And then I'm going to put the toothpick here, and we will see what's happening. So what's really exciting now is that these pillars are actually way more dense than the original mixture of dust and gas. These have now been pushed together from this initial shock wave, or actually shock waves, because there could be several stars being born at the same time. So these pillars, we can't really see what's going on inside of them. With James Webb, we have some clue right now because James Webb can actually see through some of the dust and gas. But we know that if you have a high density of dust and gas, you will of course start seeing these lumps becoming more and more frequent, and you will have a massive creation of stars within them. And that's why we call them the pillars of creation. These pillars create new stars at a high rate. So that's how pillars are created. So it's really not uncommon to see these pillars out there. I have photographed a bunch of them, and I'm going to show you at the end of this video. So you'll see that there is one or several central stars that have created this huge shockwave of energy that pushes the gases together, creating these pillars at the end. And you'll see that most of these pillars are pointing inwards. So it's kind of a circular shape with all of the pillars pointing towards these central, really young, hot stars. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and if you have liked it, do give it a like. It helps me out a lot as a creator. And if you want to see more of me, astrophotography, astronomy content, don't forget to subscribe. And of course, do write your thoughts and comments in the comment section. I appreciate those a lot as well. And yeah, I'll see you in the next adventure. Bye now.